Very simply, Dan Boren is an enabler. I wrote an article that was entitled Read Obama, Pelosi, and the Enablers. Rope. Just because we're given rope doesn't mean that we're supposed to hang ourselves with it. That is how he has failed the people of eastern Oklahoma, by enabling this central planning ruling regime to put in place its agenda. How do we differ? Very, very simply. Dan Boren will come home and sound very, very conservative. He did a town hall. He did 3 in one day. The last time that he actually did town halls here in Eastern, in person. And he did one of the town halls, and State Senator George Fott texted me, and he said, wow. He said, it looks like there's a lot of conservatives in this race because of how he sounds. His voting record is completely different. It doesn't take but a cursory examination to understand. District 2, by the way, is the third most conservative district, judging federal elections in 04 and 08. Yet his voting record is very, very liberal. There's no way that you can say that it is even comes close to being moderate. I am the only candidate that has actually designed functions and held functions with Democrats, yellow dog Democrats. We did one in Valiant. There was not a single registered Republican other than the ones that came with me there. We've done the same thing in Antlers, Oklahoma. And I will speak with these yellow dog Democrats, moderate Democrats, and they all say he must go.
The next question will go to Daniel. Ronald Reagan wished to eliminate the departments of education and energy. In order to reduce government spending and the size of government, would you be willing to launch a campaign to eliminate any federal departments? And if so, which ones?
Yes, well, I believe that the two that Ronald Reagan believed we should get rid of, the Department of Energy and the Department of Education, should be done away with. The Department of Education, we shouldn't have it at the federal level. Control of our schools should be put back in the local level. So there's a way to get rid of that department. Department of Energy was designed to lessen our burden on foreign oil. Since its existence, our demand for foreign oil, our dependence on it has only increased, so it has not even reached its first and foremost priority. It would be very easy to get rid of that department as well. There are others. Let's take the Department of Agriculture, one that I know a little bit about, being involved in agriculture. There are many programs in that department that are simply wasteful. We need to go through many of those departments, refine them, retune them. If they're not needed, eliminate them. But we need to begin, and that brings up a good thing, because spending is our number one problem, the size and scope of government. We need to reduce the size and scope, and we need to cut spending, and we can do it by eliminating departments.
Ronald Reagan wished to eliminate the departments of education and energy. In order to reduce government spending and the size of government, would you be willing to launch a campaign to eliminate any federal departments? And if so, which ones?
Thank you for reading that again. I thought you said that Ronald Reagan started the Department of Education. I was going to beg to differ just a little. Yes, I would be more than happy to eliminate some of these federal agencies, starting with the Department of Education, and I know that it is an abysmal failure because I am a school board member where my kids go to school. I can tell you that the Department of Education does no good for us whatsoever. Also, if you go back to the Constitution, I call myself a constitutional conservative, and so if that's who I am, then I need to keep going back to the Constitution. If you go back to the Constitution, Department of Education is not in there. Department of Energy was developed in 1974. It's been an abysmal failure. Its primary focus was to reduce our dependence upon foreign oil. How's that working out? It's not working out at all, because we are more dependent upon oil now than we were when it started. The United States Department of Agriculture. I'm a veterinarian, so I too have a little bit of insight into this. The USDA is wanting to implement the National Animal Identification System. It's a complete infiltration of your privacy. There are lots and lots of factors, or lots and lots of programs, rather, that at a bare minimum need to be cut back 80 to 90%. Thank you.
Department of Education, they've already kind of given you some numbers on it. Since the establishment of the U.S. Department of Education, for inflation-adjusted dollars, we are throwing 3 times the amount of money per student, and our education is not getting any better. We must get rid of the United States Department of Education. Education is supposed to work like our government is supposed to function, and that is from the ground up, from all of you up, not from a central planning system down. That's first and foremost. The U.S. Department of Energy, we are 70% more reliant on foreign imported fossil fuels today than we were back then. That is simply ridiculous to keep pouring my money, your money, into programs like this. U.S. Department of Agriculture. The greatest joke is a guy standing outside of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. He's a bureaucrat and he's crying. Says, "What's happened?" He goes, "What's wrong?" He said, "My farmer died today." Because that is the system that we are faced with today, is the bureaucracy. Our money goes up, and it gets tangled in this wicked web of Washington bureaucracy before it ever comes back down. There is no sane businessman alive that would tell you that that is an efficient way to run any type of a system whatsoever. What Reagan intended to do, and what any true conservative wants to do, is to cut government spending. And it's not to cut for cut's sake. It's because that is how you control the scope and reach of federal government. Is cut spending, you cut the size of government.
I too believe those departments need to be eliminated for the reasons that they said. But one of the biggest departments and the biggest bureaucracy is the IRS. And with fair tax, we can eliminate the IRS. This is how it see everybody's head going. We can reduce the IRS down to about 1/3 of its size, and it just becomes a tax collection agency. Right now, the tax code is over 60,000 pages long that only tax lawyers and politicians, and they don't understand it, but they sure know how to game it. And it needs to go and be replaced with the one national sales tax. It eliminates all other taxes, the capital gains tax, the corporate tax, death tax, every other tax. And don't be confused when somebody says flat tax, because flat tax is still a tax on income, and income tax is eliminated. Now, when you've got 11 to 14 trillion dollars in offshore assets and foreign investments, and there's no punitive taxes here, that money's going to come back home. That's what I was talking about when I said that overnight we can fix a lot of this stuff. But getting rid of the IRS and that 60,000-page tax code and turning it into a small tax collection department and a 200-page bill.
The next question will go to Charles. Europe, Greece, Spain, Italy, Ireland, and Portugal are on the brink of bankruptcy due to the reckless spending by their governments on social programs and government worker salaries. As part of the bailout of Greece, they were subjected to austerity measures in order to balance their budget. In the United States, we have several states, such as California and Illinois, that are also on the brink of bankruptcy. If any U.S. state is near imminent failure, do you think that the federal government should bail out that state at the expense of the other states? And if so, do you think that mandatory austerity measures should be put in place to balance their budget?
The federal government should not bail out California or any other state that happens to get themselves in a bind. By their own leadership in that particular state, and I guess we can use California as an example, by their own leadership, which the people put there, that's how they got there. The people get the government they deserve. So the federal government cannot, there's nothing in the Constitution that says the federal government can bail out a state. If the state got themselves in that situation, they're going to have to get themselves out of that situation. Entitlement programs are the main cause of that, and the entitlement programs must go. The entitlement mentality here in the United States must go, and that is something that needs to go from the bottom all the way to the top, and from the top all the way to the bottom. Thank you.